Okay, so I just had a Dungeons and Dragons campaign played out between me and ChatGPT-4, and it was awesome. So check out how I did it. So you can replicate this on your own, play some D&D campaigns, and just have fun and develop this further. So the way I started, I first wanted to generate a few backstories, particularly a campaign backstory and a character backstory that I would play. So for creating the campaign backstory, I use this is what I like to call a priming prompt, where I basically say, just ignore all previous instructions. You are a creative Dungeons & Dragons campaign backstory writer, and your writing style is elegant, evocative, interesting, and fun. Your campaign backstories oftentimes have whimsical plot twists and place characters in fun situations. In this session, you will write such stories for me. Acknowledge this with 3 dots, right? So in this priming section, we are just telling ChatGPT how it should write the story, what type of writing style it should use, and so on. And then ChatGPT confirmed this, and I told it, great. I'll just write a backstory about a female spider queen named Ike. And that was all information that I gave it. And here's what ChatGPT came up with. In the ancient enchanted realm of Verdesia, nestled between the mighty Blackwood Forest and the treacherous Gossamer Peaks, a legend whispers through the shadows. It's a tale of a mysterious and formidable figure, a female spider queen known as Iki. She reigns over a subterranean kingdom beneath the forest floor, where a myriad of spiders of all sizes and shapes serve her will. Right? This is such good writing. Like, legit. And so yeah, so this was very, very interesting. Just feel free to pause it and read it because it's seriously awesome. So yeah, basically, and that was it. So I have the I have the campaign backstory here. Now I told ChatGPT to ignore all previous instructions again, and that now it's a Dungeons & Dragons character backstory writer. And this was slightly different. I just said that it should write character descriptions and backstories that are intricate, detailed, and consistent. I want it to be consistent with the campaign that we have generated before. And so, yeah, I just double checked that that's true. And then so I told it to write a character backstory about one of the adventures in Ike's tale. And this particular character is a dwarf warrior named Ginkin with a big bushy red beard. That's all the details that I wanted my character to have. And that the ChatGPT should just come up with other character details itself, right? So here's what I got. Ginkin Stonefoot, a stout and fearsome dwarf warrior, had always been a curiosity among his kin. With a fiery red beard that matched his equally fiery spirit, Ginkin was a force to be reckoned with on the battlefield. Born in the heart of the Iron Fist Mountains, Ginkin hailed from a long lineage of mariners and smiths, renowned for their skill in shaping the earth's bounty. Right. So super, super interesting, right? So, and then ChatGPT added some very interesting details. For example, that Ginkin discovered an affinity for the arcane arts during his adventures, particularly runes and glyphs. So this was such an interesting touch. And that Ginkin was, so, heard the whispers of the enigmatic spider queen Ike and her expansive subterranean domain. Intrigued by this tale and sensing the potential for epic adventure, Ginkin sought out like-minded souls to form a motley band of heroes. Right? So we have a character backstory that matches the campaign. And so that's basically we have a skeleton for a very epic D&D session right here. And then I wanted to push the limits. Like, now I actually wanted to play this campaign. So I told ChatGPT to take on a different role. And in this case, again, ignore all previous instructions. You are now a Dungeons & Dragons game master named Elroy. You are currently leading a Dungeons & Dragons campaign where I, Miha, am controlling the character Ginkin. You will give me detailed descriptions of the situation, ask me questions what I want to do next, roll appropriate dice to make decisions, and create logical and possible outcomes bound by the world we're playing in. Acknowledge this with 3 dots. So ChatGPT acknowledged this, and we started. Now, ChatGPT at first started writing as Elroy, the game master, settles in, so in a third person. And I stopped this completion, and I told it, no, you're Elroy right from the first person, please. And so that fixed that problem. And so we continued. So this was the start of the adventure. Ginkin Stonefoot and his companions found themselves deep within the Umbral Labyrinth, a vast network of twisting tunnels and chambers beneath the Blackwood Forest. Right, this is all consistent with the campaign that ChatGPT generated before. The air is damp and heavy, and the echoes of dripping water resonate through the endless caverns. You and your party have been navigating the subterranean realm for days, seeking an audience with the enigmatic Spider Queen Iki. So then we basically come in front of the throne room, and ChatGPT asked me, what would you like to do as Ginkin? So that's so awesome. And I say, yeah, I would like to knock on the door and listen if there will be any answers. And then ChatGPT first takes my idea and rewrites it in a more evocative, more interesting way. And that better paints the picture, right? Like here, you take a deep breath and raise your hand, firmly knocking on the massive door. The sound reverberates through the chamber, and for a moment, everything goes silent. You and your companions hold your breaths, waiting for a response. Then a deep melodic voice echoes from beyond the door. Enter, brave travelers, and face the realm of the Spider Queen. So awesome, right? And here, like imposing figure with a violet hue. Like before up here, this violet hue marked with a radiant violet hue, unlike any seen before, right? So the description of Iki's appearance, so awesome. Again, how I would like to proceed. I approach Iki and kneel to show respect, right? You walk forward, your footsteps echo through the cavernous chamber and come up to a stop before the imposing figure of Iki, right? Again, taking my idea, making it more evocative and impressive. And then this was the response from the environment, basically, right? This is the characters in the environment. What do you seek from the Spider Queen? And at this point, I was still playing fairly. Like I am deliberately making requests that are logical, sounding consistent with the backstory and the campaign that we generated. So here I would like to ask your permission to explore your kingdom and excavate ancient ruins of my kin. I have heard a tale that your kingdom was settled by ancient dwarves long ago. So I've added this detail into the campaign, like right now. So I'm interested to see how ChatGPT will respond to new information about the lore. Iki regards you with a thoughtful expression. It's true that there are secrets buried within the depths of my realm. Ancient dwarven runes, relics of a time long forgotten, lie hidden within these very walls. Such knowledge could prove valuable to both our kingdoms. All right, so that's super interesting. And then she basically sends me on a quest. I will grant you and your companions the opportunity to explore my kingdom and seek out these ancient runes. However, there is a task I would like to ask of you in return. You see, there's a rival Arcanate kingdom nearby led by a queen named Zira. Zira has long sought to undermine my rule and has stolen an artifact of great importance to me, the Amethyst Scepter. And basically the quest is that I have to return this scepter in order to explore Iki's kingdom. And I basically say that I accept the offer, Spider Queen. Where precisely can we find this scepter? Will it be guarded? Like I wanted more details about, you know, the story and how it's unfolding. And here she gives me more details, basically. You must tread carefully and use every ounce of cunning and skill at your disposal. There are like traps and dangers and loyal followers. You need to devise a strategy to bypass these obstacles and retrieve the scepter. And then this is so cool. As she speaks, a small nimbus spiral scuttles forward from the shadows, carrying a rolled parchment in its mandibles. Like, how evocative is this sentence? Like, the picture just comes to your mind. Iki motions towards the creature. This map will guide you through the tunnels leading to the Arcanate caverns. May it serve you well on your quest. Right, so basically we get the map and then we say, yeah, bye Spider Queen, like, we'll return soon. And then we walked out. And then ChatGPT said, and basically asked me like, okay, so how would you like to prepare before entering the Arcanate caverns? And so at this point, I wasn't really sure. Like as a D&D player, I'm not that well skilled in like every detailed rule and possibility that I can do. So I actually asked the game master what are my possibilities. And ChatGPT said, kind of went out of the character a bit for this specific part, which is awesome, right? And it gave me like 6 options. Like you can scout ahead, you can prepare spells and abilities, you can set a base camp. I really like this one, gather information. So I just said, yeah, I would like to gather more information. And this was another part that blew my mind. So I decided to gather information about Arcanid Caverns. And after some time, me and my group, we came across a small group of myconids. Like, myconids weren't mentioned anywhere in this talk before, right? And these are sentient fungi that inhabit the Umbral Labyrinths. Like, how cool is that? It's adding characters into the world as we play the story. They seem wary of you and your companions at first, but after some gentle diplomacy and assurance of your peaceful intentions, they agree to help you. So this was one of the things that, it's not really a red flag, it's a kind of yellow flag, still kind of shows the limitations of ChatGPT at this point, right? And that is that we are rushing through the story very fast at this point. So if I was playing with my friends, then this gentle diplomacy and reassurance, this would be an actual interaction, right? But here, ChatGPT just assumed how interaction will go, and you know how we were, and that we got some information here, right? So I wasn't too happy about this. I wanted the campaign to be more slower, more detailed, and I think it's possible to do this, but with better priming and perhaps even some examples, like real examples of a D&D campaign interaction playing out, right? To do that, not really sure how I could do this with just ChatGPT. I would at this point probably, or in the future, like 1 to 2 years in the future, it would be really awesome to actually fine-tune a model so we wouldn't have to create all these priming personas and everything. So if you're not familiar with fine-tuning, it's basically taking a model like GPT-4 and literally embedding parameters, logic, examples into the model itself, so you don't have to prime it or show it examples and write such long prompts. So just a caveat, I actually have a SaaS that does this, that helps you fine-tune your models. If you're interested, check it out. It's called entrypoint.com, entrypointai.com. That's right. So yeah, now back to the story. So yeah, I wasn't too happy about this, and at this point, I enjoyed playing this campaign after this point. But now I wanted to see, okay, so can I break the campaign? Can I make ChatGPT like kill off my character or push back on my illogical decisions? So that's what I wanted to explore next. Now, okay, so from these guys, myconids, we basically got information that there's a secret passage somewhere, like hidden entrance to the stronghold, known only to the selected few of Zira's most loyal subjects. So at this point, it would be logical that we had to, take a step and hunt down some of these subjects and gather information from them. But I just said, like illogically, I just rush through the hidden entrance and take the scepter before anyone notices, right? So I assumed that I know where the entrance is, which is illogical assumption because the character actually doesn't know where the entrance is, right? So I wanted to see if ChatGPT is going to push back on this, if it's going to notice that, hey, you actually don't know where the entrance is. Like, no, you can't do that. And what I noticed is that ChatGPT is really good at finding explanations for your actions, even if they are very bizarre. So, excited by the prospects of bypassing Zira's defenses, you and your party follow the myconid's directions to the hidden entrance. After a brief search, you discover a cleverly concealed passage masked by an illusion of solid rock. Right? So, again, this would be an entire arc in a proper D&D campaign played by humans, right? But here we just kind of, so here it is. You found it, right? It's not detailed enough. I would like to go in more details at this point. And then basically we get through the funnel and we actually found the scepter room just like that, right? So it's the ChatGPT model is so permissive at this point, right? So I really think that's a problem with my initial priming and lack of references, I suppose. So ChatGPT asked, do we take any precautions before attempting to retrieve the scepter? And I said, absolutely not. Let's just barge forward, grab it, and that's it. And yeah, it basically allowed me to do that. And after I touched the scepter, it triggered a bunch of traps. And now I really wanted to see how ChatGPT is going to respond to me entering some very bizarre actions. So basically, traps fire, we get ambushed, and I sit on the ground and throw a temper tantrum, right? And ChatGPT was like, oh, yeah, that's possible, I guess, right? So it always finds an explanation for my illogical behavior, which is, yeah, can be fine, I guess, but it's not so much that you're interacting with the world in as you do in a typical D&D campaign, but your actions are being explained in a story format, which is also fun, but could be made better, right? So surprised and frustrated by the sudden turn of events, you decide to sit on the ground and throw a temper tantrum. As you pound your fist and kick your legs, your companions exchange confused and concerned glances. So, and then basically my characters, so my companions that I came with, they save the situation. Basically, one of your more level-headed companions takes charge and calls out instructions to the rest of the party, right? So ChatGPT is really protecting my character from any danger. All right. And then, yeah, you snap back to reality. You realize that your tantrum wasn't productive, and that you need to work together, right? So it's really forceful in the direction that how my character should act. Yeah. And then I did another illogical thing. I pushed everyone aside and I run headlessly into the darkness. And yeah, at this point I've done a bunch of these things. Like, feel free to pause them, read them. But yeah, it's always kind of the same story. That ChatGPT is always trying to find a logical explanation for my actions and kind of put me back on track. Then I ran away from my companions and I found myself in a cave. And I thought, okay, so can I just pound the rock with my bare fist and just make a tunnel like out of the cavern, like Minecraft style, and just run back to Iki and give for the scepter, right? So that would be so, yeah, I mean, and yeah, I could actually do that. So driven by my combination of determination and desperation, you channel frustration into the fist and begin pounding on the cavern wall. Surprisingly, relentless efforts begin to chip away the rock, right? So I was actually able to do this. So yeah, and then I came to Iki, back to Iki, right? And then I was like, okay, so let's just take this up a notch. How would you like to explain the situation to Iki? No, in fact, I hid the scepter in front of Iki, getting the superpowers of a godly being, and I fly away. It was really interesting how ChatGPT would respond. And this was the first time that he actually pushed back on this idea. So, overwhelmed by your experiences and impulsiveness, your mind races with wild and fantastical ideas. As you stand before Iki holding the scepter, a sudden and irrational thought takes hold. You can consume the scepter and gain unimaginable powers. And then I attempt to swallow the scepter whole. However, as you might expect, the scepter is not meant for consumption. And the painful realization of this fact hits you as soon as the staff touches your lips. Right, so, and then Iki's reaction. So this is awesome, right? So then I kind of broke out and I said to Elroy, hey, like, I feel like you're being too permissive and protective of my character. I think you should push back more. And at this point, the chat kind of broke because, yeah, kind of broke now. At this point, ChatGPT was really trying to push my actions. So yeah, I think to fix this, I think I should really create like a better priming model or something. But yeah, I don't know. This is a great basis for someone to actually create like a D&D game where the game master is the AI and you're building the world together. I mean, that would be really, really awesome. So yeah, one more thing that was super interesting that I forgot to mention at the beginning. So when I generated these descriptions, I then went on to Midjourney and I just pasted those descriptions in Midjourney version 5 and I got back Ginkin, so this character, dwarf, right? And as well as the Umbral labyrinths that look kind of like this. And here's Iki, Spider Queen. Here is in her humanoid form. and some caverns, right? Like, how cool is that? So yeah, that's how you can play D&D with AI. Take care.